Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Richard Metal Fan Interviews. This is episode number 79. And yesterday I had the chance to talk with Shane Told, the lead singer of post-hardcore band from Canada, Silverstein. I had a chance to talk to him yesterday at the Masquerade in Atlanta, Georgia. Mostly talked to him about the current tour, their latest album, Misery Made Me, as well as like songwriting, lyrics, and some album anniversaries and stuff. And it was a pretty good conversation. So, without further ado, enjoy this conversation or interview with Shane Told. So, what's up, guys? Here at the Masquerade in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm here chatting with Shane Told from Silverstein. How are you doing today, Shane?
Pretty good. How are you?
Fantastic. So, you're currently on this awesome tour right now with Amity Affliction. So, how's the tour been going so far? Most typical interview question ever.
Yeah, no, it's been great. We've been friends with Amity for a long time. We've been trying to make this happen in the U.S. for a long time, and we're here. We've got some great. It's loud. We've got some great opening bands, and so far people are coming out in droves to see this thing. So it's really just perfect.
Awesome. And so your latest album, Misery Made Me, has been out now for a little bit. Can you talk to me about the writing and recording process and how that all came to be and good stuff?
Yeah, it came out in May, I guess. Since it's already September, time just flies by. Yeah, I mean, we made the record last summer, and it was really great. It was a really uplifting experience to be together again. Making music because for a couple years before that we weren't able to. And we missed each other. So when we got in the studio, I think there was some magic that really happened, and it was amazing. We honestly just felt so strong about the material we had written, and I think the record came out awesome.
Awesome. And would you just consider this just picking up where you left off after A Beautiful Place to Drown, or do you think at this point it's almost kind of like a new beginning or a new start for Silverstein in a way?
I think every record is, like I think every single time we are going in to make another album, we say, okay, what is the goal here? What are we trying to do? Do we have songs we really love, and how do we convey them? So I don't think we're trying to duplicate anything we've done before with any record, and a record has never really ever been an extension of another record. It's just obviously between each record is a natural progression. That's something we've always tried to do, and not overthink anything, but also make sure that we're putting in the time and the work and the effort, and we're not phoning it in or rushing anything. We're just
Right.
we're putting in the time and the work we have to.
Right. Was there a lot of any preconceived idea making the new album, or is there a lot of like trial and error and improvisation along the way?
I think there's always trial and error. I mean, with every record. I mean, I think that's just being a musician. Being in a band is a lot of trial and error. I think that's how most people get to the level that they need to get to. It doesn't happen through doing everything correctly. There's a lot of mistakes that we've made, and we've learned from them, and that's the reality of being in a band, doing what we do. It's that it's always going to be based on that, really.
Yeah, and I agree. And I know you have like the great vocals and the catchy guitar riffs and everything. And obviously you're being interviewed by a metal guy, and I've interviewed my fair share of like black metal bands and death metal bands. I'm pretty sure all like the suburban soccer moms will look at Silverstein as like emperor. So Yeah, but I do like your music to be very catchy. Has there been any time where a personal trial or personal experience influenced the music, or is it almost kind of like an escape from the world?
What was that? Sorry, I missed
Like
that
has
question
there
at the
been
end.
any time like any personal trials or personal experience influence the music, or is it almost kind of like for you an escape from the world that we live in?
I think we've at this point, because we've put out 10 albums, we've written songs that have all come from all different walks of life and taken all kinds of different journeys. Like no two songs are ever the same process. A song can start with an idea of something that happened to someone, or it can start with a drum part, and then everything morphs from there. It can really like run, the entire spectrum of like what anything creatively can come from. So, I think it's important too that every song is looked at in a different scope, in a different light, and as a different being. Because I think if you start to try to do everything the same, or try to like find a, like a scientific method of writing a song, it doesn't work. That's not music has some science to it, but it's not a science. It's not a perfect science.
Yeah,
So I think that's important. But back to your metal thing, somebody said that we are a cross between, well, if you not a cross between, but if you mixed Behemoth and the Jonas Brothers, then you'd get Silverstein. Somebody said that to me, and I said, okay, I'll take it. That sounds fine.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. The music to also be technically impressive, but
not
simplistic by any means. Has like this. There been at any point in the songwriting to achieve that kind of technical excellence?
I mean, I think we get better over time. I mean, with that stuff, and I think with anything, I don't know, like you get better at your instrument, and you say, okay, we did it this way before. Well, let's try this way, and maybe has more technical prowess. I mean, sometimes you decide maybe we don't need to be as technical, and we don't need to put songs in odd time signatures as much as we used to, or whatever, and sometimes there's a simplification. So it works both ways. We're not trying to be a technical band. We're not ever trying to play the fastest or try to like show off that we're world-class shredders or anything like that. That's never been what our band's about. It's never will be what our band's about. So if we do anything that someone considers cool in a technical fashion, all right, that's nice, but it's never been the goal of this band.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, you guys are just have like a song is a song. You don't need to have like shreddy guitar solos and like no blast beats. And a good song is a good song. And a lot of bands in that genre do that. And I think and I listen to a lot of death metal bands and all that stuff. But like at the end of the day, a song is a song. I mean, sure, Yngwie Malmsteen can run circles around you guys. No offense, but I just think that a song is a good song.
Yeah. I mean, we don't have any scalped fretboards or anything in our band. No, it's that's the thing, and even with metal, and I listen to tons of metal and extreme metal, deathcore, death metal, all kinds of stuff, and I think the bands that always are the ones that kind of rise to the surface are the ones that write great songs and have a certain musicality to their music, and it isn't just like, oh shit, like that guy can play really fast, like a band like Aborted. I love Aborted so much, and they're one of the most technically, gifted bands, but they also write really good songs, and they're also like their musicianship and their musicality and like for what makes a good song is so important to like why they're one of the best extreme metal bands to ever do it. So, I think that's the key, with anything. Like you can try to quantify something, and you could say, oh, this is the best because of this. But like I said, music's not an exact science, and like it doesn't work that way. It's not about what it is; it's about how it makes you feel.
Yeah, and that's always the damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you try to experiment, people say you're kind of like inconsistent, and if you stick with the formula, people say that you sound the same. So it's kind of
like that. And we've for sure had that. What's the word? Look at this. We got friends right behind us.
That's my boys.
No, I think like we've had like a little bit of what's the word? A critique, I guess, of that when people would say, oh, this just sounds like the same as the last record. And then some of our fans would be like, oh my God, I can't believe how you guys completely changed. It's like people just perceive things in different ways. And, that's kind of the beauty of music, and that's the challenge of music. So, it is what it is.
Yeah, and are you also able to write when you're in a certain mind frame, or do you have to like put yourself in a mind frame to get sort of like that inspiration going?
I think it gets a little bit harder honestly, as you get older, to find time, there's a lot more responsibilities and everything, and we've definitely been mindful of that. And I think every album we've done, we've booked more time to work on music and get together. And I think even personally, what's kind of a weird thing is scheduling time with yourself to be creative. It's not that sexy
Yeah.
to say, oh, I need to like this time. I'm gonna schedule this time out and I'm gonna write. I'm gonna be creative. I need to find inspiration in this window of time because it's the only time I have this week. Let's say, and I know that doesn't sound like what people want to hear. People want to hear like, oh, this happened to me, and then I went to my bedroom and I picked up a guitar and then I wrote this song. And it's like, well, it's happened, but it does not always happen. And sometimes you have to like put in that work, to come up with something. It's not just, it doesn't always just pour out of your soul. It can, but it doesn't always.
Right. And kind of like switching topics, because next year is going to be the 20-year anniversary of the debut Silverstein album,
Yeah.
Broken is Easily Fixed. And it's still one of the best debut albums, not just in rock, but in just in music in general. And what I want to ask is there a possibility we can get a celebration of that somehow, maybe do a tour you played start to finish?
We just did it. We did it for 15 years of it.
Yeah.
So 4 years ago, we did that tour. And it was so well received, we actually extended it a little bit. We did a second leg of it, and we played those songs. And, I think we're not ready yet to do it again. I mean, our fans just saw it, and we did it. And as much as those songs are near and dear to my heart, and I love those songs, and they paved the way for everything else we've done, I'd be okay with not playing them for a little while again, all of them in a row. We already did it, but we do recognize that album is iconic to the genre, and a lot of people, it's their favorite. And we'll never turn our back on it because it, without that album, that was our start, right?
Yeah, and
so
I remember I was like in 4th grade when that album came out, so I was like 9
Yeah.
years old. Still a great
Yeah.
album.
No, totally. I mean, it's important to us, and we have celebrated it before. Will we do it again? Maybe, but
Yeah.
I don't
I
think
know you did it for Discovering the Waterfront.
we have done Discovering the Waterfront. We have done tours for that, 10-year and 15-year for that album. But that's also our most popular album too.
Yeah, it's another great album.
And we still play a lot of those songs live. So yeah.
Yeah, but also this year is also the 15-year anniversary of Arrivals and Departure, and almost kind of feels like it was also a transitional period going from When Broken is Easily Fixed and to Discovering the Waterfront.
Yeah.
Fred, tell me about like making that album. What was like the mind frame going into that?
Well, yeah, that wasn't our finest work, but I will say we are doing something to celebrate Arrivals and Departures. We're really excited about. When's this going to come out? This interview?
Probably be up in the next day or two.
You're not going to hear your microphone if you don't talk into it.
Yeah, totally, totally unprofessional.
Sorry, I'm an interviewer too. So,
Yeah.
A day or two.
Yeah.
Okay, well then I won't spill the beans on it yet, but people should be looking at for something special for Arrivals and Departures, celebrating 15 years. But going back to that album, I don't look at it with a lot of fond memories because it was not a great recording experience, and I think that made the record worse. And I think that it's probably our worst album. And we came off of Discovering the Waterfront, which is our most loved, our most popular. And all eyes were on us, and I think we needed to spend a little more time on those songs, and I think we needed to really, I don't know, work at some of the bugs and maybe just write some more songs. I don't know, but I think the great thing about that record is that it's a moment in time, and I still look back fondly at some of the things going on in my life at that time, not all of them, but then the fact that we were able to come back with our album A Shipwreck in the Sand, which is one of my favorites, I think spoke to our resiliency and our longevity, and I think that's important too, that we were able to come back from our record after our most popular record maybe being our worst. So I'm proud of that.
Yeah, and also going back into songwriting, as a vocalist, do you need to hear music in order to come up with lyrics, or do you usually have like a lyrical concept in mind that can help dictate the music itself?
It really depends, man. Like um, sometimes the lyrics kind of come as the music comes. Sometimes the music is almost completely done, and I start plugging things in. Um, I think it helps if you kind of have an idea of what the song is going to sound like, obviously, or whatever. I don't really carry around like a book of lyrics with me. I don't do that. Occasionally, I'll write in my phone. Oh, like this is a cool phrase I heard, or like a concept for something, and sometimes that'll make its way into a song. But for the most part, it doesn't really work like that. For the most part, it's you're kind of writing music, lyrics, music, lyrics. It's kind of a back and forth process more than a all or no, all of one and then all of another
Right.
is kind of the truth of it.
Right. And do you tend to leave your lyrics open to interpretation, or do you try to engage the listener in what the songs are about?
It depends. I think there's huge benefits to both. I mean, there's times when songs have to be about something very obviously to work. There's times when a song could be very vague and open to a lot of interpretation, and that makes it intriguing or interesting to more people. And there's also times when songs will have multiple layers of meanings where I say one thing and I really mean two or three different things, and those are always my favorite to write. When you can have a song like "Call It Karma," which I wrote about the idea of the band coming to an end, and also the idea of my relationship coming to an end, and both that song can be taken from both perspectives. So I think that's those kinds of lyrics I think are the most interesting for me to do.
All right, I got two more questions for you. Kind of like going into your live playing. Is there like a similar energy to playing live as opposed to recording an album, or they're kind of like almost two separate entities?
I think back in the day, they were more together. I think we were more conscious of like, okay, we're gonna have to play all these songs live. We're gonna have to be able to work them out, and you know what I mean, because we've played every song from our first album live, every song from our second album live. I think every song from our third album live.
Yeah, you have to
Because
look up
with
look up YouTube
those because at that point you don't have that many songs. But once you beat a band, as long as we have 10 albums, we can't play them all. So there's plenty of songs like we'll work on in the studio. We know very well we'll probably never play this live.
Yeah.
So it's almost like when the Beatles stopped playing live. Not that I'm comparing Silverstein to the Beatles, but it's the same idea, to where all the multi layers of instruments and everything they were doing in their later work, they never had to worry about trying to pull that off live, even though it's the Beatles and they could. They weren't playing live anymore. So I think with us, we want to make the best product we can on recordings, and we want to be, we want to make it awesome, and then we'll figure out how we're going to pull it off live. And for the most part, we do a pretty good job. We have to bring a lot of guitars because we have a lot of different tunings.
Yeah.
And that is probably the challenge, is our guitar tech having to have like, I don't know, a dozen guitars or something he has to tune, change the strings every day. But for the most part, I think we've done a better job at separating those things, and that's kind of been important for us to I don't know, I think just do our best in both places.
All right, and the final question I want to ask you is, coming from Canada, easily one of the biggest countries in the world, coming from you guys, Rush, Unleash the Archers, like so many great bands from Canada.
Yeah,
so
there's
was
a
there
lot.
like a scene in Canada that you felt comfortable of, or was it for the goal for Silverstein to get outside of Canada and play in front of different countries and different audiences?
Well, yeah, it's a great question. Canada is a big country. It's also a pretty small country in terms of how many people we have. Only 10% of the U.S. population in Canada.
Oh, wow.
So there's not that many major cities, and they're very, very far apart. So, there's basically three major cities, which are Vancouver, Toronto, and Montreal. Toronto and Montreal are close together. They're 6 hours apart. Vancouver is like a 5-hour flight from Toronto. And then in between, there's like Calgary, Edmonton, Winnipeg, and that's about it.
Yeah.
So you're talking about a touring nightmare
Yeah.
in Canada. It's very, very difficult, and a lot of bands that
Yeah.
have.
Yeah. Hey, we're doing an interview.
I don't know why there's so many vehicles here.
There's
Like
too many. There's like a
we-
bunch of shows happening. At the
I guess there's
Masquerade
multiple
tonight.
shows. Yeah, because like our vehicles are all parked over there, and
Yeah.
now there's like a bandwagon rolling up. So I don't know
Yeah.
who's here, but regardless, just to finish what I was saying, I think we recognized pretty early that Canada's small, not a lot of places to play, and it would be much in our best interest to try to do more things in the U.S., which is why we signed to Victory Records.
Yeah.
We started with that label, and they were really, really, massive at the time, and they put us on the map, and that was really huge. But at the same time, we had so many great Canadian bands in our local scene in the Greater Toronto area. It was like an awesome scene. I think you could compare it to like the New Jersey scene or the Long Island scene or the Southern California scene or the Chicago scene. All of that was in the Toronto suburbs at that time when we started, which made for a really special place to come from. And it was pretty awesome. But we're really grateful that we had American label and we were able to tour the U.S. a lot.
Yeah.
And here we are now, sitting here in Atlanta at the Masquerade. This one and the old one, we've played here like more times than any venue.
Yeah.
So obviously we started back in those days touring in a little van, and we've graduated here, and it feels great, and we couldn't be happier now to be celebrating 22 years as a band.
Awesome. So before we go, just want to thank you
Thanks,
for this
man.
interview. Just anything else with Silverstein that you'd like to plug?
No, new record, Misery Made Me, is out now. We're on tour with Amity Affliction until October. We're heading over to Europe. If any Europeans are watching this, we have the When We Were Young festival in Las Vegas and the Emo Cruise. So we're busy for the rest of the year, and we'll be booking more stuff. And if you like Arrivals and Departures, keep your ear to the ground for a special announcement there too.
Awesome. So everybody, Shane from Silverstein, see you next time.